Want some water?
I think I'm just exhausted. And I should have ate a meal. Hello, hunters. I'm Andrew, and I'm so pumped that people are finally getting into the Monster Hunter series. I've been a fan of the franchise since Monster Hunter Freedom came out for the PSP in 2005. But until now, the games never really took hold in America the way that it always has in Japan. Monster Hunter World has streamlined the entire experience and polished it up. And at last, millions of new players are discovering that sweet, sweet grind. The sales numbers are in, and Capcom is making stacks bigger than Zora Magdaros thanks to some extremely smart design choices and excellent timing. So pet your Palico, and for crying out loud, head to the cantina and eat something, will you? Because we're on the hunt for answers about Monster Hunter World, how Capcom crushed it. Let's put this in perspective. Monster Hunter World is Capcom's fastest selling title ever. And the company is no stranger to heavy hitters. At 6 million copies moved, it's their 4th highest selling game as well, just under Street Fighter II for the SNES. It took Resident Evil 4 6 years to sell that much, and I've bought that game at least 3 different times.
What are you buying?
So what made World such a game changer for this now 14-year-old franchise? It's all about accessibility. Once upon a time, Monster Hunter was just one of those series like Dragon Quest. It was a huge hit in its native Japan and pretty much niche everywhere else. We'll talk more about why later, but the steep learning curve and dense user interface didn't help it. Monster Hunter is an extremely complex game.
This is too hard.
And as the series evolved, it just grew more and more complicated. Even with 2 screens on the 3DS, navigating 8 million menus trying to craft mega potions on the fly while you're on the run from monsters, it's not easy on your eyes, it's definitely not easy on your brain, and it's not easy on your hands either. That didn't stop millions of fans from loving it though. But until Monster Hunter World, the series was always kind of a pain in the ass to play, and more than a little intimidating to newcomers. But with World, Capcom removed some of the most aggravating features and made the entire experience a lot more inviting. Now, you don't have to waste your inventory space with piles of breakable pickaxes and fishing rods. Not that it matters much, because now your hard-earned monster parts get beamed straight to your item box. In the older games, you'd have to throw a paintball at a monster to track it. It was really clunky, the aim was off, and it could wear off in a bit. But now, you just scrape some slime off the wall and let the scout flies lead the way. I can't even tell you what a relief it is that I don't have to keep spamming the circle button every time I want to harvest honey. And it's the same honey, in the same spot, and you can't move. Or how great it feels to start a new quest without having to warp back to home base. There are dozens of quality of life improvements that make series vets like me grateful, and make the game accessible without dumbing it down too much. Don't get me wrong, there's still room for improvement, but it's never been easier for new fans to get on board. You're still gonna get your ass carted from time to time, but at least you'll have a prettier view as your cat drags your lifeless carcass back to camp. Prettier because Monster Hunter World is one of the most gorgeous games I've ever seen, thanks to the power of hunting at home. The Monster Hunter series has been around for a while. It started with a PS2 game in 2004, but it didn't hit big until Monster Hunter Freedom on the PSP a year later. Hunting monsters on the go was a perfect fit for Japan. Its dense population and heavy reliance on public transport meant that you'd always have a buddy around to interrupt your combos. It's not limited to Japan either. Monster Hunter also had a huge following in Mexico, where the PSP was a big hit.
PSP, huh? Sweet!
As for me, I never had any trouble running a crew up to go slay some Jagras, but that's because I live in New York City. As a matter of fact, I think I'm getting Street Pass right now. Oh wow, I did. Hold on. The rest of America is way more spread out, and we never fully embraced portable gaming the way that the Japanese have. There were plenty of Monster Hunter games on consoles, but the experience wasn't really tailored for sitting in front of a TV. And the systems they released on didn't have the online infrastructure we have today. Monster Hunter was designed with local multiplayer in mind. You'd sit across from your friends, link up, and go kill a giant pink dinosaur. But now, with PSN, Xbox Live, and Steam, there's finally a convenient way to play with your friends all around the globe.
You can do your shopping at home, or play Mortal Kombat with a friend in Vietnam.
And without the limitations of a handheld, the world of Monster Hunter has never looked better. For years, the series got bigger and bigger, while the system stayed about generally the same size. The games were gorgeous for the hardware that they ran on, but the jaggy, low-res screens made the huge battles taking place feel cramped and small. Now, since World is running on PCs and modern consoles, Capcom can finally give Monster Hunter the scale it deserves. The small sectioned off zones of the older games have been blown wide open into a huge world that's just begging to be explored. You know, my jaw dropped the first time I stepped into the Coral Highlands. It was goddamn beautiful. But then my jaw got ripped off by a gorgeous white monster bat that carted me in seconds. I needed to farm some more, but that's okay because Monster Hunter is a great example of the grind gone good. World struck pay dirt in the US because it gave us what other games have tried and failed to do. A satisfying grind. Destiny 2 was supposed to fill that void for us, but Bungie seemed to forget all the lessons from the first game.
I am moron.
The community cried foul about the shallow endgame and frankly unexciting loot, and today there are a lot of ex-Guardians chowing down at the Kitty Cafe. Monster Hunter has a core feedback loop of prepping, hunting, carving, and crafting, and it satisfies the exact same urges as games like Destiny and Diablo. It's literally addictive.
I'm not hooked. You got a quarter.
And it's why the franchise sunk its hooks into so many gamers before it went mainstream. Compared to those games, earning your armor and upgrades just feels more rewarding in Monster Hunter. I mean, what sounds cooler? Churning through mobs of enemies hoping they'll pop out a weapon rolled by the RNG gods, or stitching together some fancy new boots that you got from killing the goddamn thing with a sword or a bow made from sliced off monster tails. It's visceral, and it's satisfying, and by the way, there's not a fucking loot box in sight. Fans, including me, are sick of AAA game developers nickel and diming us with microtransactions, pay-to-win bullshit, and pricey shortcuts just to make progress. I hate that whenever I pre-order a game at GameStop, and I never do anymore because of this fact, that when I do, I get a day one gun that makes it so easy to just level up on all the other people that paid on the day it came out. You shouldn't have to pay to skip the grind. The grind should be the most fun part of the game because the grind is most of what the game is. Capcom has made it pretty clear that they're steering away from that hot mess. They're gonna go sell some DLC armors and weapons, but they're gonna give us new monsters post-launch absolutely free, much like Overwatch does with free characters. It's the right way to treat your audience, and it's going to create a lot of loyalty and goodwill in their newly expanded fan base. World is an awesome example of games as a service done right. And upcoming Western loot fests like BioWare's Anthem should take some valuable lessons from its success. By opening up the game to a wider audience, embracing the power of home consoles, and ensuring that profit doesn't get in the way of fun, Capcom transformed Monster Hunter from a cult classic into a AAA blockbuster that we'll all be playing for years to come. Thanks everyone so much for watching. I'm so glad I got a chance to finally talk about one of my favorite gaming franchises of all time. And now I want to know, how did you get into Monster Hunter? Were you part of the PS2 era, the PSP era, the 3DS era? Let me know in the comments. As always, please subscribe to NowThis Nerd. And if you see a giant Jagras in the wild, just hit it on the head with a hammer.